All right, guys, a little bit about us. We are a North American Bison Ranch here located in east central North Dakota, northwest of Jamestown. The bison roam out here on the native prairie, a lot like what it looked like probably a couple hundred years ago. This is their native habitat and their native grass. It's what they like to eat. We raise them sustainably, all naturally. We don't stick them with a needle. We don't even really run them through the chute and put a tag in their ear anymore. It's been a lot of years since we did that. We do bring in outside animals for breeding stock, some genetic diversity on occasion, but for the most part, we are a wholly self-sustaining herd, which means we keep a certain amount of breeding stock in every year, and then we harvest the prime eating animals, some of the younger ones, the yearlings, 2-year-olds, which are that's what you want to eat. So we do raise them for the meat. We process everything here in-house at our in-house butcher shop, which I'll probably give you a look at in the future, but I just kind of wanted to show you the herd. They're out here. It's breeding season right now, so they're a little testy. I'm staying back. I'm staying close to the vehicle. You would never come out here on foot. You want this vehicle behind you at all times when you're as close as I am right now. Generally speaking, they're not going to charge anything that's as big or bigger than they are. 9 times out of 10 it would be a bluff. I've never had them go the distance on attacking a vehicle, but I've had them come after us on foot if they're provoked, and you generally just try to avoid that. So some of the common questions we get about the operation here and about bison in general. First and foremost, what's the difference between a buffalo and a bison? Well, technically speaking, a buffalo in a scientific sense is an unrelated animal in Africa or Asia. The North American bison got the name buffalo early on, probably before they were even called bison by the early frontiersmen. It's more of a colloquialism, interchangeable terms. Buffalo, North American bison, when you're talking about this particular animal, they're more or less the same thing. Now, if you went to Africa or Asia and you referred to a buffalo, it's an entirely different thing. Over here, you can use them interchangeably. We go with the proper term bison, but we're not offended if you call them buffalo either. It's a horse apiece. The other question we get is, well, are they wild or are they livestock? Well, technically ours are livestock, but they're just as wild as what you're going to find in any of the parks. I would go so far as to say our herd is probably a little wilder than what you're going to find out in Yellowstone, where tourists are getting flipped all the time, because these guys they just don't see tens of thousands of people a year. They're pretty all natural. They're a docile animal, even though they're pretty dang wild. They appear to be docile, and I can stand here and talk to you all, and they're not really all that agitated, but they see me, hear me, smell me, and there's about 200-300 of them there, and they have strength in numbers. I'm not posing a risk to them right now. When we come out in the fall to harvest them, they're probably not just going to sit here like this. They're smarter than that. They know the time of the year, and they know when our vehicle, the certain vehicle, rolls up, that it's not the safest for them. But as I talk here they're starting to trickle out of here now, getting a little uncomfortable with me talking, so they're just going to mosey out. One of the other questions we often get is, how do you keep them in? This is an animal that can run. A lot of them are from 1,000 to over 2,000 pound animals that can run 35 miles an hour and jump 6 feet high. How do you keep them in? To be honest, if you give them enough space to roam, you don't really need much more than a typical cattle fence. A lot of what we build new is 6.5 foot steel posts with 5 strands of barbed wire, and that does the trick. As long as they got water and grass, there's no reason for them to jump that fence. It happens on occasion. Of course, now that I mention it, of course, I'll probably wake up tomorrow and they'll be standing in my alfalfa field. But for the most part, they're pretty well behaved. We've been raising these animals out here for about 35 years now, and so this is their home. They don't really know anything else, especially some of the older cows in the group. So it's surprisingly easy to keep them in when you've got a nice spread of native pasture. If you were to try to contain them in a much smaller enclosure, yes, you're going to need to build Jurassic Park, and it's not really all that beginner friendly. But for the most part, it's a pretty hands-off, other than our harvest, and try to rotate them in and out of the pastures. We put a little hay up in the summertime because our winters here in North Dakota can be pretty brutal, so you got to supplement them with some grass hay in the wintertime. But otherwise, they kind of take care of themselves.